Welcome back, welcome back. Cuba's revolution 50 years ago brought with it many new beginnings. Its healthcare and its education are two of its achievements. Another is its ballet. Cuban ballet was supported from its very beginnings by Fidel Castro, who was determined to see Cuban culture grow on the world stage. Carlos Acosta is one of Cuba's most celebrated stars. His extraordinary career began in Havana as the 11th son of a truck driver, and he's now one of the world's most sought-after ballet dancers. He joins me now. Carlos, welcome.
Welcome.
I saw somewhere that you'd wanted at one stage to be a footballer. Would you have had to train as hard to be a footballer, or is fitness more important for a ballet dancer?
I think footballers probably, I wouldn't deny that they really had to train harder, but I think ballet dancer is much harder. We train every single day up to 8 hours a day, even Saturdays. And, it just requires a lot of skill, to master this art, because not always you have to be musical and you have to train your body, but as well, you have to act. And so it requires many, many skills in order to deliver, a ballet as it's supposed to be. So, yeah, in a way, it's a hard choice, but at the same time, I'm very, very pleased that I went out and I end up going on that route.
Right, absolutely. Well, I suppose there are times when footballers act too, when they're going for a penalty or something like that, and they do a quick dive. So they do a bit of acting, I think, as well. And you called your book No Way Home. Was that because you were, as it were, separated from your homeland at quite a young age?
No, well, in a way, it's no way home to the home of my childhood that is not existed anymore, because most of my friends, they moved neighborhood, and some of them flee to the U.S. And so Cuba is a different Cuba from the one of my 80s in the 80s from my childhood, and so it's never going to, I will never be able to go back to that Cuba anymore. So in a way, it's that, no way home to that place of my childhood.
And was Fidel Castro, was it his deliberate policy, as we mentioned in the introduction, that he wanted Cuba to be respected for things like dance?
That's right, and Fernando Alonso, which is the sculptor of the ballet in Cuba, he, together with his wife, Alicia Alonso, the legendary ballerina, they formed the school and the company. And I heard him say once how everything started, and he told me that Fidel Castro, just in the early days of the triumph of the revolution, he went to his house to talk with him, and so they were spending like 3 hours talking about politics. And then after 3 hours, Fidel said, but anyway, I came here to talk about ballet, really, and then he said, so how much do you need to be able to form a ballet company? And then Fernando said, I think like we can do it with about $100,000. And then Fidel said, I'll tell you, we give you 200,000, but you must promise me that you're going to, produce a company for Fresh Line, and so they did. And then from that point on, the company emerged. The state has been heavily, involved in the whole process of evolving the company and the school, and this is where we all came from.
Where you all came from.
That's right.
And you left to seek fame and fortune, as they say. At what age?
I left home when I was 13 because I went to board in Pinar del Rio, which is another city. They sort of kicked me out from Havana, and so I ended up going to Pinar del Rio because I really didn't like ballet very much. And so that was when I left home. And then when I was 16, I spent a whole year in Italy, where I then prepared for a competition in Lausanne. I won that competition. And from that point on, my career sort of took off.
So you really didn't like dance at the beginning when you were 13 or 14, and it was about 16 or 17 that you really, when you won that award and so on, that's when your ambition, your challenge was fermented, is it?
That's right. I became aware that I had something and that I could do something with my art, and that actually I could change my life and my family's life as well. And so this was sort of like the proof to be able to try that talent in an international arena. And so I did, and I won a competition, which was a reassurance that you know, I could do something great with my art. So that was sort of like the point that my career took off.
And I mean, now you're with the Royal Ballet in London, but you're going back to Cuba with the Royal Ballet to dance in your homeland.
That's right.
This will be very emotional for you, won't it?
It's going to be fantastic, because I've been dancing with the Royal Ballet for over 10 years, and I sort of like formed my home here. And at the same time, I'm very involved in everything that is happening in Cuba. And you know, I realize that ballet hasn't evolved as much, and we need sort of like a new energy. And the Cuban audience must understand that they're actually live, you know, away from the great classics, sort of Swan Lake, Giselle. There are many other fantastic repertory, fantastic ballets that I would like for them to also sing. And I always dreamed that I could come with the Royal Ballet there, and you know, to show the Cuban people, you know, the Macmillan's repertory, the Frederick Ashton repertory. And this is, you know, it's a dream come true. We're taking Manon, which is sort of like a 1.2 million pounds production. They'll never be able to see anything like that. And so, you know, it would be very interesting to see what would be the reaction over there. So.
Oh, and when is that happening?
It's happening in July.
Very soon, then.
Very soon. Everything has been already set up, and you know, the agreement is in place. From the Cuban government, they're going to meet all the costs that involve local transportation and housing of the staff. And we're there, we're here.
We're here. Thank you for being with us. It's really great.
Thank
all
you
the best, and have a wonderful, emotional time back home dancing in Havana.
Thank you.
Carlos Acosta there, talking to me earlier. Next, is the worst of the world's financial crisis past or not? And Silvio Berlusconi, does his unusual private life affect his public reputation, for good or ill? We'll discuss after this short break.